Hi, welcome back to 12 Step Up. We focus on recovery and 12 step programs. My name is Richie. Um, if you guys are ready for our special guest, Mert, how are you, Mert?
I'm doing well, Richie. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely, man. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you bet.
Um, how much sobriety time do you have?
I celebrated 44 years in November.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's a blessing.
It is a
It really is.
blessing.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, you're a wealth of knowledge. You've seen a lot. You've done a lot. Um, let's real quick. Why don't you tell me when you started drinking or using?
I took my first drink when I was probably 14, before my freshman year in high school. And it didn't escalate until I didn't get drunk until I was about 17. I consider that period a teetotaling period. But once I got drunk, alcohol started getting its claws into me. And from that point, I started, in hindsight, understanding the progression of the disease and how alcohol could become a dominant factor in your life. So,
So, how long was your drinking career?
I always love the term when people talk drinking career. Who but an alcoholic makes a career of drinking? If I'm going to drink hard, I'm going to get this right.
That's right.
I'm going to be the best. Um, I took my last drink when I was 27. Uh, the real alcoholic period started after I graduated high school when I was about 18. That's when it really started to go downhill for me. And so in those 9 years, it went to hell at a high rate of speed.
Did you have like legal problems or anything like that
Oh, all the time.
all the time?
Yeah. There's a statement about, you know, every I didn't get in trouble every time I drank, but every time I got in trouble, I had been drinking. Failed relationships, jobs, in and out of houses and rentals, and in and out of jail on a real regular basis. So, yeah.
So I like to ask everybody this. Why don't you tell me your worst moment in your drinking career?
Well, my worst moment was when I was in jail on an alcohol related charge for the last time. That's when a gift of desperation came into my life. I was such a low point of self loathing, self pity, self seeking, loneliness. And that's what it took for me to ask for some help. It had, whatever term you want to use, a bottom or whatever. That was my worst and low point.
How did you how did you come to the idea, or did somebody come and tell you you got to stop drinking? I'm sure you had a lot of people tell you you need to stop drinking, but how did you come up with that? How did you know that it was time to stop?
I think, as I tried every day that I came to, by swearing to God or a power greater than myself to help me not take another drink. And I just could not drink. By the end of the day, there would be a mental obsession or whatever that said one would be okay, but one never was. So I think it was that point of surrender of realizing I couldn't do it on my own and I needed some kind of a help. And I've learned that that help is outside of myself, outside of my human capabilities and desire or willpower. You could use any term you want for it. People use a lot of different terms for spirit of the universe, power greater than myself, all encompassing, all encompassing intelligence, and God. You know, I use the term God a lot just because it's simple.
Right.
It's right to the point. But the point I reached, even though I was raised in a hellfire and brimstone religion, that I didn't think God would have anything to do with me, when I was humble enough to ask for help, the obsession to drink was totally removed. It was a miracle. And I can't put it any other way. You know.
So 44 years sobriety. Can you remember, let's say your first, I love doing this. Can you remember your first 60 days of sobriety? Like, can you tell me what it was like?
Well, not really. The first 30 days was probably in jail still. And I was still trying to get the cobwebs out. And then I was blessed that the court appointed attorney and the judge didn't think I was a bad person. They realized I had a drinking problem. So they found a treatment center, and I went straight from that treatment center from jail. Do not pass go, do not collect $200. And there was a bunch of stipulations on top of that, but that afforded me, so I was in there for 18 days. So by the time I got out of that treatment center on January 1st, 1979, I had a few days of sobriety, but I was still in a fog. I really was. Um, like we were talking earlier, I mean, that even that first year of sobriety was kind of bunched together into a fog. I mean, I got back on my feet, got jobs, and went to meetings and did a lot of things and hung out with a lot of people. And since I was a bar drinker, I found coffee shops and donut shops, and I lived in those. Uh, but it's still a blur, but I was so blessed for it. And I think it took me probably a year, or at least several months, to realize, damn, I'm not drinking, and I don't even want to drink. And that was the real miracle of the thing, you know. So
Now, with 44 years, I'm sure you've gone through some pain, through some happiness. Um, how do you maintain your sobriety? When you go through stuff.
it's not always easy. I don't say life on life's terms is a bed of roses.
Hmm.
In those years of my sobriety, I've had just about everything possible that people would say was tragic or negative happen. I had a child die at birth. Um, I was holding my older brother's hand when he took his last breath of cancer. My best friend that I've known for 40, almost 43 years passed away recently of cancer, and I was there with him for every day. And um, I won't say any of it's easy. The toughest part, I think, was when my son passed away, and I questioned God. Why? I have three beautiful, obnoxious children that I've had in sobriety, and they're healthy and everything. And why are they that way? And why did this child pass away? And the question, the answer will never come to those whys. And I always hope and try to believe that maybe if you believe in a hereafter or something different, those questions will be answered. I think in my life today, I don't believe in coincidences. I don't believe that anything in my life that happens, there's a reason for it, for some growth, some change, some learning process. Because that's all I look at life as today, as a learning process. I'm human. I make all kinds of mistakes. I've made mistakes in relationships and jobs and finances and whatever. But the key to all of it is not taking a drink as a solution to that.
Now, you're pretty well known around this area. Um, Whenever you walk into a meeting, everybody kind of light up the room. I know you do for me, and I know you do for my wife, and we love seeing you. You've seen a lot of guys come in and out. In 44 years, I'm sure you've seen your share. Um, we were talking about some of this stuff earlier. Um, can you tell me what has been the most rewarding person you've ever seen coming into a program of 12 step?
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Yeah.
Because in that time, I have been blessed, and I appreciate you for the compliment. I don't know. I'm truly blessed that people give me accolades and see me the way they do. That's a gift, I think, that I've been given. I have. seen so many people come in and not succeed and go back out, and some come back and some die of this disease. But everyone that's come in that I've seen down in, you know, they're a train wreck, they're sick, sad, and sorry, and to get a handle on doing whatever it is that they need to do and stay sober, and the smile come back to their face, and the joy come back to their eyes, and the brightness. It's truly a gift. I can't really pinpoint one particular person because there's been so many over the years. I'm truly blessed. I walk into a lot of meetings today, and if there's particularly in ones where I go, there could be half of the people in the room that I know that I've been there when they first started the process of recovery, and to see the changes. So all of it is a gift for me. When I really look at my life, anytime I want to take credit for what goes on in my life, then that's my ego getting in the way. You know, um, I've managed to be willing enough to do a certain amount of work and do whatever it takes to maintain longevity and sobriety, but I have to give the greatest amount of the credit to a power greater than myself, help and guide me through these things, and I'm grateful for the fact that I am a human and have these character defects that I can learn from. Uh, I think that's half the joy of life. You know, uh, you can't have the brightness of the sun without the darkness of night. Sometimes, it takes both aspects to become, for lack of better words, whole and become a decent human being. And I think that's all any of us ever wanted to be, is just to fit in and be a part of, be able to think that we're okay. Hello, kiddo.
Now, did you when you came in? Were you like most of us? Did you feel like you found your place, like you belong?
Absolutely. I think I was willing enough and had been beat up enough that I was kind of like you see in young children, when they're first starting to learn, they're kind of like a sponge. They just absorb everything. And I kind of felt that way in the early part of my recovery, that I was just a sponge and I wanted to learn. I wanted something better. You know, I damn sure knew I didn't want what I had, but I wanted some peace and kindness and serenity in my life. But that's a lifelong journey. That just doesn't happen overnight.
Right. I remember when I first came into to my program, I kind of fought it, obviously, because most of us do. Even though I was broken, even though I didn't want to live or feel what I had felt before, I still fought it because of my ego. And um, I remember it took some time for me to actually feel like I had arrived. I had arrived to a place where I finally belonged, where there was like-minded people. And did you ever get that feeling, or did you pass and go?
Um, well, you mentioned ego. I have a friend that says oftentimes that my ego is not my amigo,
That's right.
and that is true. Anytime my arrogance or ego get involved, that's part of being a selfish, self-centered person. I think I can do all of this on my own, and I don't need anybody's help. But what I have found in my sobriety, this is not something I can do alone. I don't have the capabilities without help from friends and people that have experienced things that I maybe yet haven't experienced. I've been blessed because of my longevity to have experienced a lot of things in life that I can share with people that haven't. But anytime I close my mind to thinking this is all there is or there isn't any more, then I'm only limiting myself. I kind of want to go this it's still, I'm still recovering. I don't think I'll ever be recovered. So as long as I keep in mind that I'm recovering and there's more to be learned, I can be of an asset not only to myself but hopefully others around me and share that.
I feel like you're one of those people that has made lots of friends, and you still have a lot of friends probably in this program since you first came in, or maybe thereafter.
Yeah. I am truly blessed because I will never deny my upbringing or who I was or who I am. I've always been a relatively outgoing person. All through high school and whatever, I think I was socially accepted pretty well. I was, because of the way I was raised, I didn't have many prejudices about anything. I always tried to treat people of any race or any economic status equally, and I think that's a gift. You know, um,
That is a
it's,
gift.
it's something I won't downplay. There's been a whole lot of people I've met in my recovery that have had it a hell of a lot worse than me, that have had abusive parents, been molested, poverty stricken. That those weren't issues in my life, so I'm not going to try to downplay that or embellish my story to make me look better. I am who I am today, and I feel blessed to be this person. I don't I obviously don't ever see myself as others see me. You know, I could still be my own worst critic, beat myself up for not being perfect per se, but that's not near as bad as it was in the beginning.
Yeah, I feel very honored, honestly, that you agreed to do this interview because um, most folks um, that have your kind of sobriety are kind of hesitant for whatever reason, and I understand. So I feel honored that you agreed to do this because to me, you're one of those people that I look up to because you're always happy, man. You're always happy. You're always just there. And so again, I feel honored that you're doing this. And for you guys out there, this is the type of relationships that you gain in sobriety. Now, I don't want to upplay it, but this is a man that has a lot of knowledge in sobriety. Um, if you're going through something, typically it's suggested that you talk to other people that are in your whatever program you're working. Um, but you're like one of those people that I would definitely go to if I had some type of issue because, like they say, right? If I haven't gone through it, somebody else may have. And so, again, I feel very honored that you decided to do this. I always ask people, and I always get everybody with this question: what would you tell? What words of inspiration would you tell somebody out there struggling, trying to find sobriety? What kind of inspiration could you give them? It's a loaded question.
Well, the only thing I can say is I can only pass on what was given me freely. And when I was 27 years old and first got into recovery, a little old man, probably in his late 60s, that was ancient for me at 27, walked up to me and he just simply said, Mert, you don't ever have to take another drink as long as you live. And that has always stuck with me. And I think that is the true honesty of recovery. The key word being, how bad do you want it? How willing are you going to be? You know, it is recovery is there for anybody and everybody with a minimal amount of willingness, and they've always said recovery is not for people who need it, it's people that want it. So my question to all these is, how bad do you want this?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciate you asking me to share and do this. It's an honor both ways. I'm truly blessed. And I think what you say, I mean, I'm fortunate I don't necessarily sponsor people, but I'm blessed to mentor a lot of men and some women in my life, you know, that draw from my experience. I think the arrogant statement I could say to somebody, and I actually have said it a time or two, somebody with 4, 5, 6 years of sobriety telling me how I should do it or what I should be doing it, and I can kindly say to them, I know what it's like to be sober 5 years. You ain't got a clue what it's like to be sober 40 plus years. And it's not that I know everything, but it's like you say, it's what I've experienced in that time is the key to life.
Yes,
for sure.
Because I've talked to in this area is full of 20 plus
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
and so I've talked to a lot of people with 30 plus, and they all say the same thing, man. They all say the same thing. You don't have to drink or use a drug if you don't want to. Um, and that's tough, man. That's tough because it's so simple.
Mm-hmm.
The words are so simple, but it requires some work. It's going to definitely require a lot of pain. I remember that pain. I never want to feel that pain again. I don't wish that on anybody. So whenever I feel any type of way, um, I always reach out to somebody with a lot of years, not because I have them up on a pedestal, not because of that. It's because they've stayed sober for this long, so they know how to do this. So I'm gonna go and ask them so I can get out of my head and get that feeling out of the way. Um, I know I've called a mutual friend of ours. He's got 45 years, I believe. And I remember asking him, "Hey, man, this is how I'm feeling." And he said, "Holy shit, is that how you feel?" And I said, "Yeah, that's how I feel." Like, did you fucking drink? No, I didn't drink. Well, then you're fucking doing great, man. That's awesome. Good job. Don't drink.
Yeah. Well, and there's another side to that story that I said that I have a great friend that adds to it anytime I say, you don't have to take a drink. Uh, and she'll always say, you don't have to take a drink even if you want to. And there's some reality, and that's a key thing too, because most everybody that's in recovery at one point or another has thought about taking a drink.
Mm-hmm.
I remember the first time I thought about taking a drink, I called up a friend and I said, God, I thought about taking a drink. And he said, well, did you take the drink? And I said, well, no. He said, then quit worrying about it. Okay. It's a normal, natural thing for us to do.
Yeah, yeah.
But the key is still, you don't have to. You reach out, you talk to people, and in time, I think you do develop that uh, spiritual consciousness to where, when all else fails, you ask a power greater than yourself to help you get through it.
Yeah.
And normally you do. No.
Mert, thank you so much for showing up and doing this interview. I appreciate it very much. Here soon, we'll probably have you back because we're going to do things a little different very, very soon. My wife will be involved in a lot of the interviews because we're a team.
Cool.
And honestly, she asked the better questions. And she looks a little better than I do.
Well, I've always kind of believed in the statement, behind every good man's a better woman.
That's right. That's 100%. That's 100%
You're
right.
blessed with your
I am
family and the
blessed. I
wife
am
and the
blessed. Thank
daughter.
you.
Yeah.
Once again, Mert, thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Richie.
I
I
love you, my
appreciate it, my brother.
You guys, once again, please like, share, and subscribe. This is the only way we can get this message out to other people that are suffering. If again, if you have any questions, you can go ahead and email me, shoot me a message on YouTube. We'll try to find you some help. We have a lot of resources we can help you out with. So again, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys.